Hi, my name is Robert Shelley with Shelley Law, and my law firm assists physicians with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today I'm going to talk about how physician contracts work. Now, obviously I could spend an hour talking about this, and I have literally hundreds of videos on physician contracts. But at the most basic level, kind of what is the point of the contract and what should I guess the basic terms include. So in the simplest manner possible, an employment contract or independent contractor agreement dictates the terms of the employment relationship. And so the main terms that should be covered in the contract are the length of the contract, how the contract is terminated, the compensation, the benefits, the services and duties performed by the physician. So where are you working? What are the hours that you're working? What are your call responsibilities? These are important things that many times are left out of a contract that really should be put in there. Now, the employer is going to say, well, we don't want to put the details of call in the contract, if there are some things that can change. Okay, great. But no physician wants to have 1 in 2 call. And so you need to have something written at the outset of, all right, these are the expectations, outside of some kind of emergency, like another physician in the practice dying or being disabled or something like that. Obviously, in those scenarios, it's kind of reasonable for a physician to have to step up for a period of time and maybe take more call. But they can't come into a job and be expected to take 1 in 2 call unless you're being fairly compensated for it. So that's another thing that should be in the contract. The things that will happen after the contract ends. So do you have to pay back any of the bonuses? Who pays for tail insurance for malpractice if they're using a claims-made policy? What are the restrictive covenants? Non-compete, non-solicit, non-disparagement. Are you allowed to take on outside activities during the term of employment, or do you have to get the employer's approval in order to do that? Like, these are all kind of the pillars of what would be in a physician contract and what needs to be in a physician contract to keep the physician safe. Sure, it's going to explain the expectations for both the physician and the employer, but in my mind, yes, what's expected of the employer is important. So what they're going to pay you, how they're going to treat you, what's the support staff that those things are important. But equally important is what's going to happen to the physician after the contract ends. Excuse me. And so, as I said before, who pays for tail? Do you have to pay back any of the bonuses? If they provided you a signing bonus, relocation assistance, maybe some end of the year bonuses, you normally wouldn't have to pay those back, but some places they may. The non-compete, the non-solicit, these things are absolutely critical for a physician, and they need to be included in the physician contract. So what's the point of a physician contract? Well, to detail all of these issues. Yes, there are many jobs out in the workforce that have no employment contract at all. It's completely at will. But if you are even in an at-will state, once you sign the employment contract, the terms of that contract are going to dictate the terms of the employment relationship. I had somebody say to me, well, I'm in an at-will state, so this contract isn't really enforceable. No, that's not how it works. The employment contract will trump kind of the at-will mechanics of a state. I live in Arizona. Arizona is an at-will state. So if you're an employee without an employment contract, yeah, you can be terminated at any time for any reason, as long as it's like not a non-discriminatory or retaliatory reason. But we're just talking generalities here. You can be terminated at any time for any reason, unless you have an employment contract, which then kind of dictates the terms of how to terminate the contract. Most physician contracts will contain somewhere between a 60 to 90 day without cause termination. So even if you're in an at-will state, and even if almost everyone else in the state can be terminated at any time for any reason, the contract is going to state either party must give a certain amount of notice to the other and then what happens once that notice is given, and that trumps any of the at-will dynamics of that state. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. That is kind of how physician contracts work and what's the point of them. If you have any questions about your employment contract or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number and website listed below in the description. And hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, let us know. All right, take care.